And so he tries to reason with the people of his day, where in his culture, in his day, there was a religious pluralism developing. There were multiple faiths within the Jewish community at this time. There was the faith in Jerusalem, the worship of the true God, Yahweh, but there were also a variety of other faiths that were working their way into the community. Various amalgamations of the Jewish faith with other religions. And Isaiah addresses his community in his day, and then also by implication he addresses the congregation in days to come with regard to what they will face when they are exported to Babylon and there live within a pagan culture and see all the many gods before them. And there will be an apologetic dimension to their future. They will need to be reassured of the truth that the Lord alone is God, and that all the gods of the pagan nations are not gods. They're nothing. There would be the temptation for many of the Israelites to say that their God was simply a local God who was overwhelmed and overpowered by the Babylonian gods. They, after all, the ones who brought their armies into the land of Judea, and they are the ones that dispossessed the people, destroyed the temple, and exported even many of the religious artifacts of the city, bringing them to Babylon. So, did not the Babylonian gods conquer the Lord? So there was a challenge before Isaiah to strengthen the faith of the people of God and to show that the Lord alone is the true God, and to provide a kind of theological buttress for the faith, to defend them against the false insinuations that would be around them. Is the Lord really the true God? Well, Isaiah does two things. First, he reminds us by assertion of the character of the true God, the God who manifested himself to Israel long ago. You look in the 44th chapter, verses 6 through 8. God reveals his character, his nature. He asserts that he alone is God. And then in verses 9 through 20, Isaiah then begins to examine the claims to deity by the other gods. And he enters into an exquisite satire of the pagan who manufactures their gods out of wood or stone or metal, manufactures their god, and then bows down to that god as though that thing which he himself has made is in some way able to help him out. And then finally Isaiah concludes in verses 21 through 23 with an assertion of the Lord's redemptive work among Israel. And we'll talk about this. I want to first focus on what Isaiah has to say with regard to the pagan gods that they would be facing. The pagan gods that were even within their country in his day. And the way that Isaiah tried to reason with the people of God and demonstrate to them that there was nothing to fear here. Isaiah has this wonderful picture of the pagan who he first makes this very careful assertion, this general claim with regard to the idolaters. Verse 9, all who make idols are nothing, and the things they treasure are worthless. Here is the assertion that Isaiah wants to impress upon the hearts of his people. The idolaters themselves are nothing. You shouldn't be afraid of them, nor should you be afraid of the gods that they worship. Altogether, there's nothing here to be afraid of. If you have a faith in the Lord as the creator of the heavens and the earth, then that will give you a certain strength, confidence before the gods, the so-called gods of this world. You will see that there's nothing there to be afraid of. And so you can walk through this life with joy and with confidence, serving the Lord, and not concerned about whether there will be riots in the streets, and flags burned in effigy, and all these kinds of things. We live by faith in the true God. So Isaiah diminishes the idol worshiper, those who construct their own religions, and the gods that they compose. So he talks about the pagan, the metal worker who fashions an idol out of the fire. And Isaiah talks about how this very strong, powerful man hammers away at this molten piece of metal, shaping it into the shape that he wants. And he gets tired after all this effort. Worn out. You need something to drink. Isaiah is commenting on the humanity of the man who would build a god. The inconceivable aspect of this is driven into the forefront of our attention. A man who, however apparently powerful, nonetheless tires and weakens over the very effort in building his god, is one who would construct a god? Shouldn't it be the other way around? Isn't it the fact that the gods are the ones, should be the ones that create us, form and fashion us? It's ludicrous. And so it is with every religion that manufactures its gods, that promotes a theology on its own. Quite often in the form, in a way which reflects the individual who made it, as we'll find here in a moment. But all who do that sort of thing are engaging in a meaningless act. Isaiah goes on to talk about the craftsman who takes a prime piece of wood, chops it down, brings it from the forest after it has been nourished and strengthened by God who brought the rains. Because a man couldn't grow the tree by himself. God himself had to supply the energy, the strength, the sunshine, the rain, and so forth for the tree to grow. But the man, after observing that there is this very prime specimen of wood, chops it down, brings it into his shop, and again begins chiseling away and working away, sanding until he has formed and fashioned this little god in the shape of a man in all of his glory and beauty, and puts him in a nice little shrine so he's protected from the weather. Isaiah says, look at what you're doing here. First, again, you're a man proposing to make a god. And it's just the opposite of what God has done in the book of Genesis, when God took from the dust of the earth and formed a man and breathed into man life. And would this man now go on and try out of the wood that is around him, construct a god and worship that and say that this God is what has made me? It's ridiculous.